It's 5 o'clock. I'm calling the meeting to order. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And that we lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business, since this is the first meeting after the elections, is to choose a chair and also do committee assignments. So is there nominations for the chair?
I move that we nominate Zach Terrell to be chair.
I second.
Okay, that's moved and seconded. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 I'm sorry.
Glad he agreed.
Well, in that case, I'm switching chairs with you. You're now
You
chair.
gotta get up.
I have to actually switch chairs to be chair?
The chair.
This is the hot seat.
See, it's all about whether you want to sit there or not.
Admittedly, I'm kind of happy it's cold right there.
Yeah, I got that blower going.
This is going to be yours.
Oh, this way.
Signatures.
I got one now.
Along those same lines,
This thing.
Bill, would you be interested in remaining as vice chair?
Yeah, I would like that. Thank you.
We don't need a motion for vice chair because it's appointed.
Great.
So, thank you, by the way. On to committee assignments.
So,
Who's currently village water and sewer?
Hey, I'd like to stay that way.
no argument.
No argument. Planning board. Currently, it's me with Bill as the alternate.
I'm willing to serve on planning board.
You want me to stay as alternate for continuity?
Sure.
Yeah.
That work for you?
Yeah.
Ted, does that work okay for you?
Yep. If I protest, I'll let you know.
Along those lines, the planning board's forming a subcommittee for the capital improvement plan, and I think I'm going to serve on that subcommittee to keep that project going. Campus Community Council.
I'm currently that I'm willing to keep.
Do you need two, or could I also serve on that too?
I think we could have two on that.
Okay.
We have before.
Yeah. School district. So this is an important one. I stepped away from it last year, but it's been kind of a struggle. It's also important, given the scale and size of their budget, for us to be participants there.
What time are their meetings, Zach?
They meet on Tuesdays. Is it? They meet at 5:30.
One's at 5:30, one's at 6, or is it 5 and 6?
I think it is. I think is the elementary school 5:30
Yes.
and the high school 6. And the high school's on Wednesday.
Oh, they changed.
Yeah, so it's two meetings. It's every 2 weeks. It's it's like us, but it's a lot. It's also not a particularly active role. You're you sit in the audience. Anybody interested in the schools?
You could split it, maybe.
Split it into high school and elementary?
I can't. So is it Monday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, I think.
Can't do either.
Can't do either. They're both tough.
Does it work? I could do Monday, but
I'd be willing to try one.
Want to take high school and I'll go back and do elementary school again?
Yeah.
Goes back.
So you think the high school one is Wednesday at 6?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'll tell you, the high school one is usually, the public session is usually less than 15 minutes. They're very fast.
Awesome.
And they go into non-public.
They go into non-public, and I mean, it's usually, you get a nice update from the SAU, you get a nice update from the principal, and then they go into non-public. It seems like pretty much all the time.
Lisa Ash is their chairman.
Yes. Ambulance committee, is that a thing?
Kind of, it used to be. Hasn't been a thing in several years.
Is that a thing that we're planning to continue to have, restart?
Committee?
Yeah.
That's more been turned into negotiate contracts, so you guys majority of that on, so
Okay.
it's kind of subsided.
So we'll just sort of skip that one then. Conservation Commission? Neil, you're currently on that? Something you want to continue?
Sure.
So here we come into two different committees that are sort of listed together, which is the capital improvement, which didn't exist until planning board just reformed it, which I'd like to take. And then Ted, you
I've done the budget.
did the
committee.
budget. You've done the budget committee both as a member
Yeah.
and recently as our rep.
So the advisory budget committee is down further on the
Oh,
list.
which is that? So that's
Oh.
So
different.
we can
Okay,
take budget committee
we'll just take it
off that.
right off that line.
Okay,
Okay, let's do that.
I'll put mine on the other line.
So Ted wants to continue
I'll
advisory.
continue. Yes, there's no reason not to.
LRPC.
So that's kind of not a thing either, though, you know? We've got, I think I mentioned before, this, 3 levels of Lakes Region Planning Commission. There are commissioners, there are executive committee, and there's, TAC. And I am on the executive committee. It's it's an elected position. The commissioners are currently you and I.
Although the most recent paperwork they sent still said John Ramlett.
Yeah, it's still on the website, too.
Yeah, and Juliet for whatever the other
Zach.
role is.
I probably shouldn't say this openly, but, sometimes it takes them a while to,
Update those materials.
yeah, maybe like a few years. So do you want to still be a commissioner, or?
Sure. Let's unless other people object. It's they're almost always on Monday nights anyway. So
With the exception of the 28th.
the 28th of this month.
Yep. We've got that early start for LRPC at 6 o'clock for the commissioners meeting, commissioners meeting.
I'll make sure I show up to that.
Well, you'll be here.
It's at the same day.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's that. Oh, okay.
It's a select board meeting night, so we'll keep that agenda shorter.
And we're supposed to be like out of the select board by 5:45.
So we could start a little earlier, maybe.
Maybe we should do that. So adjust our meeting earlier on the 28th.
Start it at 4:30 or something like
Because
that.
the idea that we're going to get through our agenda in 45 minutes is pretty laughable.
And they'll have about 20 people showing up, so they'll want to, use the parking area and stuff. And
Yeah.
I want to check with Silver to see if we can grab some spots there, too.
What time are you starting? I'm sorry, the meeting on the 28th?
28th at, what, do you mean, the
We start
select
at
board
4
meeting?
Yeah.
30.
or 30.
4?
If we started at 4, we would get an hour and 45 minutes. We probably could get through a full agenda.
In case you didn't know, I'm checking my calendar.
Just to
Might
see
get
if
a
4
night off.
o'clock works.
No, I can do it.
Does that work
Yeah.
okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Parks and Rec Commission.
I'll continue with that one.
Parking Committee.
I can do
Energy Commission.
I'd like to be on that.
That's fine.
And Economic Development Team.
That's kind of
Like
on
to
the
if they-
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They ever started.
Is that something, who is kind of responsible for making sure that happens?
Well, it would be June at this point,
Yeah.
and her hands are kind of, she's
It's the
kind of full.
between Main Street project and,
Yeah.
does that open up a little bit as her assistant becomes more comfortable?
Hopefully, yeah. That's what the hope is.
All right, so let's put Mary Ann's name there for now. And hopefully it gets
Alternate?
started. Yeah.
I'll be an alternate on economic development.
Yeah, cool. I'd love to see that get some action. Be good. All right, did we miss anything, or are we good with that? Okay, minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 28th regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Done. We got another set of minutes here. Non-public
Public.
minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for the non-public meeting on February 28th.
Second.
Here they are. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I apparently abstained, so I wasn't paying attention. Okay, announcements. All regular meetings will be held at 5 p.m. here. The Select Board will meet on the following dates. Monday, March 28th, and that's the one we
We're
are
adjusting the time.
adjusting it to 4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock. Monday, April 11th, and Monday, April 25th. All the above meetings will be at Town Hall. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. Chairman's comments. I have none. Time. We do have one appointment. We'll probably get through that in 2 minutes. Susan Wood has been proposed to get appointed into a permanent position on the planning board.
I move we appoint her to the planning board.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Sue's been an alternate for a long time. She participates very well on that board. I'm excited to see her take a full position there. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? She is good. To you. And what are we? 60 seconds away from. Well, we have one other appointment that's not on the agenda, but I bet we can get through it in 60 seconds. We have a request to appoint Kevin Pierce to Emergency Management, Deputy Emergency Management Director.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Kevin Pierce to the position of in emergency management.
Deputy Emergency Management Director.
Okay, yeah, okay, sorry. Deputy Emergency Management Director.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. It is 5:50. It's not 5:15.
14.
We can call it 5:15.
Can I pretend it's 5:15?
You can do whatever, you chair.
I can read the clock however I wish. So we have, which is the first hearing?
It's the police parking fees.
Yes. So I'll call meeting to order, 5:15. We are discussing police department permit parking fees. Ready? I'm ready for you.
All right.
So this is for the permitted parking rates for Green Street. Currently, there's 19 spots in that substation lot. Probably more realistically, 17 spots in winter, and then on Green Street, we have a total of 19 spots. We're requesting to move the current fee to 7 cents per hour for the substation lot, and that's because it is a dirt lot. It is a little tougher to maintain. The spots do shrink in the winter. So that 7 cents per hour would total $488.81 per year. And then for the actual spots on Green Street, we're proposing 10 cents an hour, and that would be $657. We're proposing to make the parking to charge them for 18 hours. The only change I would ask the board to consider that we possibly make is that we had looked at making it 18 hours, and that would give highway an opportunity to plow and maybe do some cleanup. We've monitored over the last 3 weeks, and there are some vehicles that do park down there 24 hours. And I don't want to pull the wool out and they not have a place to go because they purchased a permit. So I think we can accommodate. I think for the most part, most people aren't going to park there overnight. So I think for the few vehicles that we do have, we can absolutely, make that work. So I don't know that we specifically limit it to 18 hours because we do have some people that park down there.
Can you just say which lot is that, Nathan?
So
The substation or the Green
There's
Street?
substation lot, so for both of them.
Both of them,
Yep,
okay.
we have both of them. So I would just request that we keep it at 24 hours, although I don't think people will actually park down there for 24 hours because there's only 3 or 4 vehicles that do stay there.
And were there two different prices?
There were, so the
7 cents for,
substation lot, that's that dirt parking lot that isn't very level. It's dirt, and the spots definitely shrink in the winter compared to the spots that are actually on Green Street that are paved and marked out. And those ones we would request 10 cents an hour, so that would be $657 for the year. And currently, right now, the fee for Green Street is $615, so it's a minimal increase going up to 10 cents an hour.
do we track revenue from parking by the particular lot so we know, what we've made off of those lots in past years, or is it?
Well, we are now.
Okay.
So I can tell you we have a long request for permits. So we just opened up, I think in the past few months, I don't even know if I've seen vehicles park on Green Street because it was metered. I can tell you that just this week or this past week, we sold 11 parking permits like that. Everybody wants a parking permit because they don't want to park on Main Street and pay $1 an hour. So we're hoping to get a few additional spots out of that substation lot to do it, and then we'll keep addressing it. Maybe at some point there's additional spots that we can add because I think there is a need and a want for it. So revenue-wise, you're talking about 11 spots times $650 that we've gotten in the past week that wasn't being currently used.
Yeah. We like new revenue.
I have a question.
Sure.
If a person has a permit, can they loan their permit to somebody else?
Yeah, so one of the issues that we would look to address with this, and we have in kind of our lease with these permits, is to not allow subleasing. So if I get a permit, I can't lease it out to other people and collect money for that. So we want to put a stop to that and make sure that doesn't happen. So on the permits now that we're doing, we're actually putting license plates. So if you have 2 vehicles, we'll put both of your license plates, so you can kind of just put the permit in either car and be able to do it that way.
Any other questions from the board? General public, any questions about or comments on police department long-term parking charges? Anybody on Zoom?
So now that you're going to 24 hours, are you going to increase these rates?
So I don't think we do, and the reason I don't think we do is I think probably 95% of them aren't going to park 24 hours.
Okay.
And it's a big increase if we went up to 24 hours, and I don't think right now is probably not the time to ask for that. So I think 18 hours is reasonable because most people probably won't even park there for 18 hours. So,
Yeah, I think if in a year you come back and you say those lots are full half the time in the middle of the night, and now we're
Absolutely.
patrolling the area to make sure no one's breaking into cars, and then I think it makes a lot of sense.
absolutely. Any other questions?
question about being on the parking committee, and I spent my time this last year cleaning up that substation parking lot. I'm going to get back into it as part of the beautification and to address the specifics of the number of spots. But that's a case of talking with the police department, a safety committee, as to what represents a safe spot at the end. So that's the variable right now. But when spring gets here, I will go back into it. That way we can put up signs, designated spot numbers, so we can track it better. Or if you assign a particular spot to a person, they know they have a spot. So that's going to be a work in progress this spring.
Great. Thanks, Frank. Any other public comments? If not, I will close the public hearing at 5:21.
Thank you.
This is our first or second hearing on this?
I'm sorry?
Is this our first, was that our first hearing on this?
That's all you need to have.
We
is
just need to
one.
have one? Do we need to vote to accept the parking changes? So we're probably looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the parking fee schedule for the Green Street and substation lots as described in the memorandum from Ann?
Nathan.
Oh, Nathan.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Further discussion, I guess. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. That's a good one. Another hearing coming up in 7 minutes, so we will hold on that. And let's see.
Could probably do the new purchase.
Yeah, let's do that. We've got a purchase order here. Anne, are you the one speaking to this?
I am, with Kathy's help. If I can find it.
It's this one.
It's that, thanks. Thank you, sorry. All
This
right.
is related to the Highland Street project.
So this is for the Highland Street project. At the meeting tonight, we're presenting a purchase order to the board. The total cost of this project for Highland Street, which is from Broadway to Old Ward Bridge Road, the repairs to be done just by the town, is $1,293,265. 80% of that will be paid by the state. The remainder of $258,653 will be the town's portion, which is 20%. We do have funds right now in the capital reserve for Highland Street for our portion, so there's no additional cost besides what's already been appropriated. And we are working with the state. You'll see attached to the purchase order as well is a federal aid highway project program project agreement for the town. That's our understanding of what the state expects from us and what we expect from them.
The governor and council signed off.
They have not yet. Still required, I believe.
Is it anticipated?
Yes. Yeah. This is part of the 10-year 10-year highway safety funds.
I worked on this project for years
You did.
when I was with North Country Council. I'm overjoyed.
Well, we're getting there. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. So we're a step closer at least to get the purchase order through. And if the board does approve the purchase order tonight, I will ask that the board move to approve Catherine Lowe, town manager, as the signator on the agreement and future bills as the project comes through. Again, the purchase order is for the entire project.
Now, this is that same section of road that we did a quick pave on
We did.
top of, and we had
And we did
issues with
underneath.
the thickness.
Yep.
When we had that conflict on the thickness issues, there was some concern about the engineering of what was put under the road. Are we sure?
What was put on the road?
Under.
Under.
So one of the key disagreements between us and the organization that did the paving was, we said, you put the pavement on too thin, and they said the road underneath wasn't engineered properly to begin with.
We've sent.
Has that been addressed?
We have sent the plans over to the state. Their engineers have looked at our engineer's proposal. Now, there will be some re-engineering done as well as part of this project, so it will be done correctly.
Okay.
And I'm sure between our engineer, whoever we pick, and the state, there'll be some monitoring done it will be corrected.
Okay.
They don't want to put money into a project that's not right either.
No, for sure. When is this scheduled to happen?
We're hoping this spring, by the end of June, we're hoping to get this going. If we can do it sooner, we will, but it's going to take some time. We need to pick the engineer, make sure that they're looking at or redoing the plans, making sure everything looks right.
And there will be a certain amount of time, like school conflict, scheduling, like all the traffic issues that are
We
associated.
will work with the contractor and the state and ourselves and the school. It would be nice if we could do it when school gets out and have it completed before it starts up.
If we're doing spring, then
Well, Plymouth Water and Sewer is also planning on a large project. This side from Broadway to the end of Highland Street. So
Okay.
there's a lot of moving parts in this process as well. But we just have the small stretch to do it.
yeah.
You said the end of Highland Street, were you going west or east?
Beginning down here by Main Street.
Coming down here
Start here?
They're actually gonna start
Broadway.
with us.
with us at Old Ward Bridge Road. They'll
Maybe on
open it up and do what they need to do, and then we'll come in and Joe will come in and, or our engineer will come in and do what he needs to do. And they'll continue down.
Drainage.
So does
They're
that mean,
paying for their portion.
yeah, so water and sewer is going to be repaving all the way from Broadway to Main?
Yes, they should
As
be.
far as I know, they
Yes.
should be. You know, I haven't
Yes.
seen them. Okay.
No, they should. That's their project.
But
Any other-
we can't do anything without the agreement with the
Right.
state.
Right.
You looking for a motion?
No, I think we need this is the hearing, right?
No, we're not in the hearing yet.
Oh, okay.
minutes.
We're going to go back into a
That's right,
hearing.
we got 4:30. That's right.
Go back to this later.
Unless we're good. Do we have any more questions on this? Can we vote on it, or do we want to pause this and go into the hearing?
I move that we approve this project.
Second.
Thank you.
Any discussion on that? Can you amend to also approve
to
Kathy
Kathy.
as a signatory?
I move that we approve Kathy as signatory in addition to this
And I
project.
approve your amendment.
All right.
Second your amendment.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I forgot to vote again. Get used to this. Okay. It is not quite 5:30.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
How about that Brady, huh?
No, right? How about the guy who paid $500,000 for the last touchdown that he ever threw?
That might be worth more.
I
so.
doubt
Next
it.
to last.
That's a bad investment. All right, it's 5:30. I'm calling the public hearing to order on the fire permitting fee schedule change.
All right, good evening. What I have brought in front of you tonight is the hearing section of the fee schedule for the fire permits. As we talked about before, the fire department does a lot of fire prevention efforts. Currently how we do fire permitting is very convoluted, to say the least. So we allow one permit. On that permit, you can put as many appliances, inspection devices, whatever, at the charge of $15 flat rate. That's it. We don't charge for any other efforts. The effort that goes in behind the scenes to researching and permitting, inspecting, etc., is a lot of effort. Our municipality is one of the few that still remain to do this, and we don't associate a fee with this. A lot of other municipalities have found a revenue source that allows them to help pay for the permitting, helps pay for the manpower hours that they dedicate, and that's what we're looking to do. Part of this whole venture also is, in my review of how we do permitting in fire prevention efforts, is I'm revamping it. I'm making it less convoluted, more streamlined, and also it's going to give us a better accountability of the system that we have in place. It's less opportunity for errors, less opportunity for unsafe conditions to go unnoticed. And that's really why we're doing inspections, is to observe any unsafe practices, faulty in the installations, etc. So this proposal essentially will change our permitting in our charge rates. There's, I believe you guys have seen it last time we did this. Do you have any questions on that?
Are there any changes since the last time you showed this?
No, I kept it the same because I felt it was what's fair to the public and to the office. I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but as I did talk about last time, the associated fees presently were around the ballpark of, for 2020. 2021, it was $1,600 and change is what we collected in permitting fees. Using the data that I had from 2021, I applied it to the new fee schedule, and it would actually put us in the area of between $10,000 and $11,000. Now, some of that is skew, and it's also on the very conservative side because of how, like I said, how we did permitting presently isn't easy to take away what has been inspected, not how many appliances, and the changes that we're going to implement also are going to have a cost effect. So the conservative value is between 10 and 11,000. The more realistic value, I think, would have been in the ballpark of 15,000. I know it's not a lot of money, but it is a newer revenue source, and as more construction happens on the west side of town, and really any new construction or anywhere else, there'll be a fee that's going to be associated with it that will help us recover and the town, because the town invests a lot of manpower hours into this on the fire department side. So I think it's fair and equitable to us and the end user. We also took corrective measures and preventive measures to make sure that the customer, anyone building a house in town or a new taxpayer, is not going to be double charged by us and the planning board. We worked with the planning board. They actually have a life safety charge in their initial fees, so I was able to remove that out of our new proposed fees, so they wouldn't be double charged. We also, in these new fee structures, we applied a commercial review, plans review, and sprinkler systems, commercial hood systems. The commercial systems require a lot of research and a lot of effort. As we have to climb up on roofs, we have to, take Market Basket. They have tons of rooftop conditioning units and heat units and all that, and that takes a lot of manpower hours. So this would help us recoup some of those costs on the commercial side and help us keep it less confusing, if you will. Does anyone have any questions I can help you with?
Any questions from the board? Any question from the public about the change in fire permitting fees? Anybody on Zoom? Seeing none, I will close the hearing at 5:35.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
So I'll make a motion to approve the fee schedule as presented from Plymouth Fire and Rescue.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Move a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. They will be in effect April 1st.
April 1st.
Let everyone know. The minutes, basically.
I assume we'll post both of those as notices on the website tomorrow. Wonderful.
Mr. Chair, Marlon Collins is on to give a PSU update as well as a discussion on the sidewalk on High Street, excuse me. Can we move him up?
Let's do that.
Seems fair.
You're moved up, Marlon. So you going to give
Official.
both a PSU
Thank
update?
you all. Yeah, not too much to update. We were on spring break last week, as you probably know. Students returned yesterday. We lifted our indoor mask mandate on Thursday of last week. There is still the option, obviously, people to wear masks if they'd like. And faculty and staff are able to ask students to wear masks in their classrooms or individual offices should they choose to do that. Right now, I think we have 6 active cases. We will be doing full campus testing, post-spring break testing tomorrow and Wednesday. And then we will do another round of full campus testing the following week. At that point, depending on our caseload, we'll make a decision how we move ahead with testing for the remainder of the semester, basically April and the first week of May. I would anticipate if our case numbers stay low, we'll probably move to bi-weekly testing of everyone for the month of April. But that's where that stands, and we're getting ready for, this is midterm week, and then commencement is on the 8th of May. So yeah, we have a busy time ahead of us, but hopefully things go well from the COVID side. And the other reason I'm here tonight is to talk about the sidewalk that is over on, the sidewalk that's right above the police station, right across from Spear as you're going up the hill there on High Street. As you might know, that has we've had real trouble keeping that clear in the wintertime. There's a street light that's there that kind of impedes us from actually keeping that. It's broken up quite a bit. The sidewalk's pretty dangerous. So for the last 2 years, I think, we have had it cordoned off with fencing so no one can use it. We would like to remove that sidewalk. We contacted the state about removing it, and the state was very quick to tell us, it's not our sidewalk, it's the town of Plymouth sidewalk. We'd love you guys to remove it, but if you're not willing to do that, we will do it at no expense. We would just like permission to do that.
Which side of the street is this on?
It's on the north
It
side.
would be on the right-hand side of the street as you're going up High Street around the traffic circle.
Would that proposal be to remove it all the way from basically the traffic circle?
Basically, the sidewalk doesn't really start until right at the police station there, on the right-hand side. And so it would be up that way to Prospect where it already ends, because then that's a driveway into the loading dock at Prospect.
So are you removing the light and putting it back, or?
No, I don't believe the light will need to be removed.
You're going to have a crosswalk for students coming from the art building?
Yeah, there already is a crosswalk there that goes right across and then up on the sidewalk that runs up by Spear up to main campus there.
And how much are you proposing to pay the town for the removal of that?
I don't think we're proposing anything. We're going to do it free of charge.
Oh, free of charge.
Yeah.
I like free of charge. Have you consulted with the highway director at all on this yet?
So,
I did.
We sent certified letters to Bill and Kathy about probably on January 27th. So this is where we're just waiting for a reply from you all.
And I did speak with Joe about that section, and Joe has no problem with removing it. He said, we don't maintain it, and there's nothing there as far as, there's no parking meters, because I spoke with Chief Hutchins too. There's no, we're not losing anything. And that's what I kept asking Joe, are we losing something if we do that? And he said, no, it's not an issue for me. I told him, he's giving his go-ahead if the board approves it.
Any
Yeah,
concern
and
from
what
fire or
our-
police?
No, there's already a sidewalk on the other side, so, and there are crosswalks, one below and one above, so I don't have an issue with it.
No issues on our side.
And I will say this, the one thing we would be losing, both of us, is the liability of anybody walking on that sidewalk, because you would not want that to happen.
It's good with me.
Good with me. I'll make a motion that
PSU removes?
PSU removes the section of sidewalk.
Second.
Discussion, when we remove the sidewalk, what do we do about the curbing?
So you're going to go back in and put like asphalt curbing or?
I assume that's what's going to happen. So what the letter read, and what I would suggest, is that your highway folks get in touch with Steve Foster, who will then, from our physical plan, who will then coordinate exactly what's going to happen and when and those kind of things.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Well, I think we'll get rid of a useless sidewalk. This sounds
Okay, how
sounds
about
wonderful.
that?
Marlon, I had one general
Yeah.
PSU question.
Sure.
Is the university doing a big spring event this year?
We are having our spring fling on campus. It happens on, let me just get you the exact date. It happens on Saturday night, the 23rd of April.
420.
And it will be, we haven't had it for 2 years, but it will be exactly as it's been in the past. So it'll be an outdoor dance concert party on Mary Lion Lawn.
You're going to celebrate Earth Day also?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
Are there any plans for any 150th celebration?
This is our 151st year.
Oh, it
We
was
had
last-
all of our
last year.
celebrations last year.
Oh, okay. I was off by a year.
Yeah,
It's easy to understand because no one could do anything.
No one could do anything last.
right. It was all basically virtual, yes.
Any other questions for Marlon and the university?
No, I just want to make a note that I'm planning on sending out a note to schedule the next campus community council meeting
Great.
shortly.
Good. Yeah, and Ted, I've had a couple people ask me when the next one was, and I said that I sent them your way because it's yours to schedule, and we will be there with bells on.
Bells.
I'd like to encourage the university to think about celebrating Earth Day.
Oh, Earth Day. So we
Yeah.
do have an Earth Day. So I thought you said birthday, Neil.
That's what I thought.
I'm
you
sorry.
said it.
Yeah, in fact, we have a big celebration. What day is Earth Day this year?
April 22nd.
Okay, so we have that week, actually, there's a whole Earth Day celebration that happens on campus, including a concert and outdoor festival kind of stuff that happens on Friday afternoon. So yeah, we do that. We have a club that does that every year.
Nice.
I'm sorry, Neil. I thought you said, are you celebrating a birthday?
You're fine.
Yeah.
Any other questions for PSU?
Okay.
Thanks, Marlon.
Thank you all.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Okay, I think that brings us to Steve Whitman and an update from the Beautification Committee.
All right, thank you.
So we wanted to come back. It was last summer that we came before the board and kind of asked for permission to get working on some things. And I'm joined tonight by Amy Bailey and Joyce Weston, and Josie might tune in as well via Zoom. We've kind of become the core group working on this stuff. So I just wanted to provide you with a general kind of update and some next steps, and then entertain any questions that you may have. And I have help answering questions, which would be great. So since we met with you, we gathered down by the amphitheater, and we had a bigger meeting. We had about 15 or 20 people that came and talked about different things that they thought could be done in the downtown and elsewhere in town to beautify Plymouth. We also did a cleanup along the riverfront while we had all those hands. So we had a number of people that helped pick up trash and do things along the river there. After that, actually prior to that and after that, Josie and I met with Larry Gibson, and we talked to him about the potential for doing things specific to the Roundabout, which was one of the issues we initially came to you and talked about. And then since that time, we've been working on putting together a proposal for what could happen at the Roundabout, what seems like a good way forward, and we have since met with Robert, which was a really helpful session to kind of talk through what could be done there to replace the grass with plantings and not to create a headache for him or any kind of problem with sightline visibility. We looked at pictures of other roundabouts here in the state, and we actually have proposed a pretty conservative planting plan of low growth, largely woody shrubs and some small perennial flowers. But something that wouldn't take a lot of maintenance, which was his request, which seemed quite reasonable considering how much Park and Rec, his part of Park and Rec already does. So what we submitted to you by email was this roundabout planting proposal, low-growing perennials, the woody shrubs, and kind of a timeline for how we'd like to approach this. He's been very willing to be a partner as long as he doesn't have to be the one primarily doing the work. So we as a committee have started to gather volunteers. Joyce has been helping us with that, finding people that are interested in doing this work. And the timeline we put together is basically to get started this spring, if we get approval from the town, to basically smother the grass. I mean, the grass has overtaken all the previous plantings, and now it's a lawn instead of what was there before. And so he was in agreement that first we need to suppress the grass so that whatever gets planted can take off. It's a location that gets a lot of sun. It has some pretty harsh conditions there. So Amy and Joyce and a colleague of mine, Liz, have helped pick out native plants, New Hampshire native plants that could go in there. But because there'll be a lot of watering to get those plants established, and there's not much soil as far as quality soil, there's not a lot there. Robert suggested that we first come in and put down compost, then we'll put down a biodegradable weed layer, probably 2 different types, and then we'll cover it just with fresh wood chips for the summer. That's the proposal. As you know, my office is right there, so if somebody goes driving across it or something, I'm likely to be the guy that's going to go out and make sure it looks okay, because I don't want one of you to text me and say, hey, it doesn't look okay. If we go that direction, the thought was that we could have the summer to raise funds to then also get the plant material. Some of the plants we feel we can get from the state nursery, some others we may have to get elsewhere. And then we can plant them in the fall, and it'll be a little bit easier for the volunteers as far as watering. It won't be as much. It won't be coming into summer. We'll be able to get them rooted and established there, let them overwinter, and then it should progressively get better. The other things I just wanted to mention is we realized that people will wonder what just happened. Why did Park and Rec show up one morning and work with some volunteers and dump a bunch of wood chips on the middle of the roundabout? So we do recognize that we should do some outreach and education around that, like what's happening, why is it happening, how can people get involved if they're interested. And so both in the Record Enterprise and on social media would be 2 of the places that we'd want to do that. And there have been some other thoughts. We have not talked with the elementary school, but one idea was to work with the elementary school and see if some of the flowers could actually be grown by the kids in the greenhouse. So the woody stuff could go in the fall, and then maybe some of the flowers go in the following spring. And then ongoing maintenance, Joyce is helping us get these initial volunteers to help with the installation. But we talked with Robert about setting up some ongoing maintenance in that location so that he's not feeling a heavy load. He can stop and check on stuff. He can do whatever he and his crew would like to do, but keeping an eye on it, making sure things are going well. If any plants don't survive, that there's a plan for replacing them, things like that. Did I leave anything out that either of you can think of?
That sounds pretty thorough to me. Did we talk about possibly signage at the roundabout that would explain beautification in process?
We did. That would be something, if we decide to do signage at the roundabout, I'm assuming we'd want to talk with you guys and probably the police department, because just something that's really simple so that it's not creating unintended consequences at the roundabout. But we did talk about if we could do something, maybe even on to the outside of the roundabout, to let people know that this is a positive thing. It's a beautification thing.
Yeah, Joyce.
Want the microphone, Joyce? Sure. Come on.
Andrew gets very upset if we don't put people on the microphone, so please.
For the record, I'm Joyce Weston. This is probably the most fun thing I'll do all week. And it's something I'm very excited about because I'm the kind of person who can't go by a garden and see weeds and not want to take them out. And having been involved with community gardens and land trusts since 1990, I understand the process of working with the town and also having fun sprucing up garden spaces. This is something I've been doing for a long, long time. And I have 15 people already signed up to help with maintaining this particular space. But we would love the opportunity to also be able to work on some of the spaces that are really, really neglected right now. So, as this progresses, I'm hoping to get kind of like a garden club. It'll be the Plymouth Beautification Committee, but I think Plymouth is long overdue for a garden club that can take care of some of the spaces that are neglected. It'll help the town. We'll work with the Parks Department to make sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes, because I understand that coordination between the town and very excited volunteers. So anyway, this is probably the most fun thing I'll do this year. and I hope that you guys will give us the opportunity to do that with understanding the respect we have to give to public spaces. So that's what I wanted to say.
Where's the number 2 place? If you get the
the number
roundabout
2
done,
place
what's next?
is right next door, and that is the walkway that goes up to the Silver Center. There's a magnolia tree that is full of little sprouts that could be in somebody's yard. It's full of bittersweet. It's overgrown and neglected. There's also, if you look along the edge of the Silver Center, there's a row of climbing hydrangeas there, which are magnificent. But there's all kinds of other invasive vines that are growing in there with those. So that would probably be the first place.
I suspect you stepped into Plymouth State University space and out of town space there, but I
It
would
is,
guess
and
that
that's
they would
why
be
I
just as
say,
happy
with
in terms
respect
of-
for the spaces and whose territory we might be invading. We do have Steve Sweedler on our list of gardeners, which is very important because he knows what those spaces are, and he and I have communicated about the invasive weeds in some of those spaces. So having him on the committee, I think, is really good because I think he's an expert. But yeah, we will not go into anybody's property and put our forks in without permission. But I do hope that this group, who I have reached out to as experienced gardeners, can help the town. I think this is a win-win, and we know that the Parks Department doesn't have the resources to do this. They're out mowing lawns. They have a lot of acreage to mow. So So just to let you know that I would not step on anybody's property without permission. So,
I think with Steve Sweeler, though, you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of chestnuts downtown. Probably not. They have like
That's,
very spiky things, but well, it's too bad Marlon's not on still, but I don't think he's on, right?
No.
but I know Marlon too, so we'll connect with him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Will there be a budget line ultimately, or are you just going to do it on
This
donations?
is volunteer.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is volunteer. And working with the school system as well. You know, it'd be nice to involve them with areas where they can be, maybe plant some annuals and all, and use the PES greenhouse to help out with that.
That's great.
Quick question, can we get a blurb for the town website to make as an article?
Specific to the roundabout landing?
Yeah, I was thinking it's like we should put things there so that people know what's going on, and especially if it can give us a little bit of good press.
I would recommend PBTV, actually. Do a little piece on PBTV.
Okay.
Yeah, just about the budget line, we would have the initial expense of the Woody things, which that could be $500 maybe. So I don't know if there's an opportunity to maybe have a budget line for the town on that, or?
When we initially came, we said we weren't asking for money, so I'm trying to hold to that. I do think that we'll be able to fundraise for what it is that we want. It's not a huge expense, and Park and Rec has already offered the compost, and they can source the wood chips for us. So I guess I shouldn't say no to a budget line forever, but I'm pretty focused on the roundabout, which you know. So at least through the roundabout project, we don't see a need. And I think with the volunteers that Joyce has already talked to, and with interest, hopefully if we can build some relationship with Park and Rec and they can find other places that they're going to be working, that we can help as well. We're really hoping that won't be necessary.
Speaking of the website, we have a lot of very official committees and things listed there. It almost seems like just to help promote this group, we should list this committee somewhere on the website as well, so they know who to get into contact with. You know, I don't know if you all have scheduled meetings or any of that kind of thing, but
No, we've been doing it more kind of ad hoc, but I can provide the names of those that are willing and contact information, and I can send that along to Ted as well.
I think that would be great.
I just had a quick question. I would assume that the state owns the roundabout, correct?
It's a funny thing.
I think it's technically a park, right?
It depends who you talk to. I mean, that was my first reason for coming here, was like, who is responsible? But Park and Rec has been taking care of it. And so there was a little finger pointing, it seemed, between the university and the town from way back when it was first
So I
created.
remember seeing like the university like reading,
Hmm.
so I wasn't sure.
And then they stopped,
Yeah.
and then Park and Rec's been doing it. Yeah.
Do you know who put the lilies down? It was like they were planted, like, and then they all kind of died. But
I think they went in when the roundabout was installed,
yeah,
but I'm not positive. Yeah, I'm not positive.
what about, okay, since you're researching that, since we have a representative present, but as far as the other pieces that are stuck on, you know, we've got the town common, then we have a little piece to the north of that, and a little archipelago that's by the bank and stuff. So is that also perhaps state?
Parks claims
town?
all of those, though.
They can claim it, but it may not, unless it's probably like, I think probably DOT may own that because it's in their right of way, but.
Yeah, right now Parks is taking care of all those places, as
Yeah.
well as like around the Green Street lot. So we did talk to Robert about some of his priorities for 2022, places that he thinks have been ignored that need some attention. And we asked it when he started on those places, including some changes maybe to Tucker's Islands, just to make sure that they continue to thrive. That if there was a role for volunteers, that he feel free to call us and we'd be happy to meet. And then Joyce can see who maybe some of the right volunteers would be for the task. So.
Well,
Any other questions, comments for Beautification Committee? It's great. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
It's awesome progress.
Our pleasure. And I guess the only thing I'd say is, in working with Park and Rec, that when we decide to go out and do some work within the middle of the roundabout, we'll coordinate with police. Robert had already mentioned that. He said he had some signage, but we'll definitely let you know that we're going to be out there. And the thought is to get out there early when there's not much traffic and there'll only be a couple of us working in the middle. So, cool. Thank you all.
You don't need any motions. Do they have enough authority working with parks that we're good?
You're good.
Fantastic.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Steve. Scott, in my hurry to get to a hearing, I missed your emergency management update.
There was no update other than the appointment of Kevin as the deputy emergency management.
Well, that's nice and simple then. Any questions for Scott? Anybody? All right, good. Thanks, Scott. More new business. We have a memorandum of understanding between the town and Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District.
Do we have to make a motion for Kevin or not?
We did already.
You did, okay.
You even signed it.
Yeah, I know, I thought it was for, planning board.
Oh, no, Kevin was emergency management. We did both.
Right, we did, okay.
We did them like that. We were
That's
fast.
why.
Yeah. We were being efficient.
My age.
So the memorandum of understanding
Yes.
that's in your folders is a revised version of the one that was approved by the board back in July of 2020. The first one that was approved was for South Main Street only, and it referenced us using Kevin Pierce. I think, no, not Kevin, sorry. Garvey. Kevin Garvey.
I'm right, Pierce.
I'm right, Pierce. Confused. And we realized that we could not use the same engineer that Plymouth Village Water and Sewer was using, so that's when we went out and we got HEB. So the new memorandum corrects those things. It also, let's see, states how the town, the new MOU states how the town and water and sewer will work together, and more specifically, it defines the roles and responsibilities for each entity in regards to two separate projects, which is South Main and Highland Street, while also covering a joint agreement on any other infrastructure repairs or improvements that need to be worked on jointly. The MOU protects the town and the water and sewer district with respect to individual responsibilities and ensures that the costs are aligned with the entity whose obligation it is. Both the South Main Street project and the Highland Street projects are ready to move forward, so having this MOU will ensure a smooth working relationship and understanding between the town and water and sewer department. So I worked on the revisions with Don Jutton from Water and Sewer and also with June to come up with what you have in front of you.
So I noticed there, priority 4 talks about creating a committee. Who's going to be on that committee?
Sounds like it's touching into a few different things.
Those are areas that I'm familiar with.
Do you need a select board representative on that committee, or
That
is
would
that
be
mostly
nice.
a town
Town staff and water and sewer, but I think it would be nice to have a select board member as a rep.
It's certainly an area you've got fairly deep experience in.
That's, I've had experience there.
He's got the experience and the knowledge of the town, so.
Yeah, you might remember when some of those pipes were put in.
Yeah.
He always tells us.
I think it was after the Civil War, wasn't it?
I'm guessing Neil doesn't remember that far back.
I think my grandfather could tell.
Any other discussion from the board on this? Questions for Kathy? Is this, it seems like the original memorandum of understanding was mostly around the project, but there are a few elements of this that are now extending, beyond that.
Right. Right.
Is probably okay.
The first one only included the South Main Street.
Right, it
So
just
this
was
one
probably
is-
just 1 and 2, right?
Right. So this encompasses everything that we, the town and water and sewer have in, joint ownership. Rather than taking out an MOU on each road that we want to fix with them, it's kind of a blanket MOU.
Yeah. Coordinated efforts are good.
Looking for a motion?
If we're going to move this forward, that's what we need.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the town and the sewer.
Second. Beat you to it.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Ted.
I would like to share screen.
Ooh,
Hint.
fancy.
There we go. Yes, I'm getting fancy, and I apologize to those people who are in the audience that can't see this. So I was working with Kathy to come up with some good operational metrics, and so we decided to find some ways that we could measure how we're doing, and we started with the roads department, highway department. So Kathy gathered some data for some towns, and we applied this data in a spreadsheet form to give us some numbers on roughly how we're doing. So Plymouth being our baseline, we put in the population, which doesn't really factor well into a highway department analysis. How many full-time staff we have, how many part-time staff we have, their overall budget. We have a couple of columns that discuss whether it includes street lighting or recycling, because some of the comparators do or don't include that in the numbers. And looked at the number of miles that are maintained by the highway department to come up with some numbers on what it costs per mile. And using the same data, how many employees per mile, or how many miles per employee. So for Plymouth, the cost per mile came out to $14,787 using these rough measures. At roughly 10.8 miles per employee. 10.8 miles per employee looks like it's within the operating norm for towns with the same characteristics as us. And that same characteristics really is that they don't include recycling in their highway budget, and they don't include they do include street lighting. So if I take the measure to exclude those who do not include street lighting, it brings us down to roughly 6 or so comparator towns that we looked at. One thing I will make note of is that the comparator towns chosen all seem to be south of us. So my recommendation is that we include some towns that are in our general area, maybe a little bit north of us, like Campton, Lincoln, maybe Ashland. So something that is a little more similar. So you will look at Guilford here. They have roughly 10.2 miles per employee. So it tells us that we're in the ballpark. We do have one really significant outlier here, and that's Henniker, that shows us at 20.3 miles per employee on staff, which is a lot higher. And there's probably reasons for that specific to Henniker. But what I'm seeing here is our numbers are not disproportionately out of comparison for the other towns we have data for. We do tend to be a little bit on the high side, comparator cost per mile, but there may be factors that go into that, including snow removal costs that are probably a little higher for us than they are for maybe some of these other more southern towns. Now, this suggests that maybe there's something that we have to do to look into, okay, why are our numbers a little higher? Is it that this particular year that we did more equipment replacement than those other towns? And by and large, what we're looking for here is, if we look at this year over year, our numbers should fall into some kind of normal area in terms of numbers across the state. You know, we shouldn't be way higher than other towns. We shouldn't be way lower. We should be shooting for something that is more or less in the norm, and that way we can use this data to basically show that we are right funding our highway department. Equally as if we found that our costs per mile are way lower than other towns, we might be able to use it as a justification. Hey, you know, maybe this is a place that we need to invest more in. Our hope is that we can start providing numbers like this during our select board meeting for other town departments, maybe, you know, starting with the ones that are a lot easier to get numbers for. Maybe next time it could be recycling or whatever Kathy can find numbers for the easiest. To do this comparison and be able to show the townspeople that, you know, we are looking to make sure that we're doing the right things for them. And ultimately provide this in some form on our website so that they can look it up, that we're doing due diligence in terms of some of the challenges that we're facing.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Does this include Highland Street in the miles?
I can't give you specific streets, but it should be any town-maintained
So
road.
locally
So I was going to say,
made.
because Highland being technically a state road, but town-maintained.
That's ours.
It's ours.
Fully ours
Yeah.
now,
It's ours.
100%?
Yep. So it does.
So it is included in the 81.
Yeah.
I would. This is awesome, by the way. Absolutely love this. In addition to getting some northern towns, it would be nice to get some towns that have, more similar number of miles, because we were by far the lowest in the list.
The next lowest one was Pembroke at 93.
3, yeah.
I think we might be hard-pressed to find a lot of towns that are
Similarly low.
that are similarly quite that low, that are not much more rural.
Our town has geological features that a lot of towns don't have.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing I was going to ask was, do we have a number in terms, when we look at that miles maintained, what percentage of that's paved versus unpaved?
Should.
That mileage that's shown it should all be paved. It's not dirt.
So we're not counting our unpaved.
Yeah, because
Right.
you're looking at 2-lane,
Right.
so it should be all.
2-lane paved roads
Yeah.
only?
Yep.
Because we definitely expend significant effort and cost maintaining the dirt roads in town as well.
Right.
In some cases, more.
Yep.
I used to live on Bell Road, and for sure.
Yeah, they're up there a lot.
Yes.
You know, we have to have a grader, right?
So
Which,
maybe we
you
can-
know, if you're a town that purely has paved roads, you don't have a $250,000 grader that you have to maintain.
When you have higher traffic loads on a unpaved road, you have much higher costs for maintenance.
So Joe's mentioned that a couple times. You look at Bell now, right after a good thaw, it's just all ruts.
It's a hard time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to get if this doesn't include any unpaid, it would be nice to get those, because we may find we're comparing against another town that has 5 miles of unpaid and we've got 20 or,
And we
whatever.
can add another column to the
Yeah,
the
it's
data.
another column. Yeah. I would want to make sure you can separate them. That was all 3. Look at that. I think it's a great exercise, and it does make sense to push it, into some other departments, just so that we know. It's hard for us to understand when we're talking about budget sizes, or when the town says, the fire department's getting too expensive. It would be nice to be able to say, okay, but here's 10 comparator towns, and we're right there
We're in
with
the
rest of
norm.
them. We're in the norm. Yeah.
Or maybe we're too low and we need additional information to show that.
Did this exact thing a few weeks ago, and I actually found it wicked informative.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even as a taxpayer, it was pretty impressive.
If you've started to do some of that research,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe we
fire
could-
department's next.
I would recommend that we separate fire department from ambulance and have it as 2 separate
Yeah,
metrics.
I think that makes sense. And similarly, we probably should separate dispatch from police when we get over there, because that's just different operations. Awesome.
Yeah, we separated them
Yeah, probably separating out parking too.
Simon, you were talking.
Hopefully the metric we have for the police department is not number of tickets. So that
I would recommend a metric for the police department. There's kind of 2. I mean, in any area, there could be more than one. Right here, we're looking at employees per miles too. So maybe in police, it's a budget based on number of residents or residents to number of police officers, so that we have something that is.
There was 2, right? Yeah, so we did, I think the per capita is usually the most basic one, just per capita, what does New England have, what does New Hampshire have? So I think that's the most basic. I think it gets a little more complex when you start figuring in calls for service, motor vehicle stuff like that.
And that's something that's going to change on a regular basis. But, keeping something that the average person in the community can quickly digest is at least a starting point. If they want to know more, obviously we can provide more.
Yeah, Plymouth's unique though, because it's a central hub area, and the amount of daily traffic is crazy. So New Hampshire DOT actually has a link, and you can see all the traffic counts on different roads. It's pretty amazing.
And they do for roads as well, what's paved and unpaved. They have a link there that we can get to.
Yeah, traffic is actually hard to get that data reliably, but interesting if the state has it. But thinking about the town, how much work does the highway department have to do? Changes drastically based on how many cars are on the road.
Yep.
Yeah, their traffic count website is amazing. I believe there was a counter on Highland Street.
is it all kind of contemporary, or is 20 years old, or?
No, it's I don't know how far they go back, but I gave Kathy the link. You can go in and check all the different, Tennymountain Highway, and you can do eastbound or southbound.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else on operational metrics?
Not this week. Hopefully next time we'll have
More.
some other area to discuss.
I love it.
That's great.
And discussion regarding room and meals tax.
Yeah. I received an email recently, being a member of the New Hampshire Governor Finance Officers Association. The email came from the Government Finance Advisor at NHMA. She advised that she woke up one morning and found an article in the Union Leader, and I did attach a copy of that article there for the board to consider. Basically, what the article indicates is that Governor Chris Sununu has asked legislators to consider suspending the state's meals and rooms tax for a couple of months to help offset some of the impact of the high prices of gas and inflation during the summer tourism months. The town of Plymouth, this past year, or in December of this year, we received around $530,000 from the state, which has jumped significantly over the last couple of years.
Was that for a full year?
That was for a full year, yep.
So we're talking,
Taking any revenue away from the town
definitely tough.
is very difficult.
But we're talking about $42,000 a month, roughly, if it was spread evenly, which we know it's probably not.
Right. They did come up with a new formula last year. It was under House Bill 2, which says that the actual real numbers will be divided amongst the towns, not just the formula that they used to use that nobody really understood. So that 500 and some odd thousand was real number for the town of Plymouth, and we got that money. So what I'm proposing here is what was being proposed by NHMA is letters to Joyce Weston, she's gone, Suzanne Smith, Sally Fellows, and Bob Gaida, just advising them that we would like them not to consider suspending the room and meals tax for those couple of months. Couple of months could be 3 months, could be 4 months. Not really sure what a couple of months means to the senator, to the governor at this time. It goes on to explain that the 2020, it could affect the 2023 tax rate. It could affect other rates beyond. Everyone's going to see an impact, whether you pay for it at the pump or you pay for it in your property taxes. I think paying for it, I just don't think it's fair that they are actually taking funds away from the town again, as they've done in the past. And the 516,000 would, if you look at the very bottom paragraph, is about $1 on our tax rate if we lost everything. I'm not saying that that's what they're proposing, but
Can't tolerate that.
no.
Well, I don't think it'd be the full dollar, but still,
Yeah.
even a
Anything they
quarter
take
of that.
away.
Even a quarter of that.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is
I mean, 3 months would be,
it's a lot of money. And that's money that every single town in the state of New Hampshire
We give it up.
relies on, town and city.
Can we,
on a quick glance, there's a couple typos in here.
Yeah, let's look at one. The effect of elements.
The effect all
Municipalizes.
municipalizes.
So if you would like to, Zach, are you around tomorrow?
I can be.
Can be. If the board would have me work with Zach on correcting the letter as, and then appoint Zach to sign the letter as chairman. If you want Kathy to sign with him as town manager, or just Zach, whatever you want to do, just so we can get these letters out as soon as possible.
I'd also ask that we strengthen the we ask that you oppose to be a little more forceful, maybe even bold, the word oppose. Either that or move it to the front and first thing somehow. Because when I read through it, I almost missed the fact that we were asking them to oppose.
Well, there's nothing that has been presented yet. I understand what you're saying, but yeah, I'm trying to,
Either lead with it or end with it.
okay. So Zach, do you want me to email it to you for
Yep.
revisions, or you can
Yeah,
come in
that
sometime
works,
this
and
week
I'll-
and we'll make them?
Either works for me. I
Okay, we'll email them to you.
don't know how busy your day is tomorrow.
Is there anyone else that you would think that we should send this to?
Who do we get on the list here?
We've got our representatives and our senator. Not sure who else would, unless you wanted to send it directly to Governor Sununu.
Yeah.
I think we should send it directly to the governor as well.
Yeah.
He's the one that came up with the statement.
It's one thing for them to oppose it, it's another for him to hear it directly.
I agree.
I'll be in touch with you in the morning then, Zach.
Do we need a motion?
I think you got a consensus.
Consensus? Just looking around for nods in general.
Not as many times as you need me to. Yes.
Perfect. And so on to Grace Garvey to discuss a USDA loan opportunity.
Thank you, Grace Garvey, Chair of the Energy Commission, for the record. So the Plymouth Energy Commission's been really busy researching different funding opportunities for the to offset the municipal power use through potentially solar arrays. We found a grant recently called the Rural Energy Pilot Program Grant. It's through the USDA, and it's focused on rural areas that have energy distressed communities, which we have discovered we fall into those categories. And the grants can pay up to 80% of eligible project costs directly related to distributed renewable energy systems, weatherization, efficiency, and things like that. So we're like, hey, we're the girls and guys for the job. Anyway, tricky part about this grant is it is really time sensitive, and we have to identify a partner. So we have talked to Paray conceptually about Plymouth Area Renewable Energy Initiative, Sandra Jones. We've talked to them about possibly forming a partnership with them. And the partner would have to take the lead on the grant. So it's a little tricky in terms of how we would do that because the other partner would be the town, right, of Plymouth. And we would have to figure out how to come up with 20% non-federal matching funds by the grant closing date, which obviously were not in your budget for 22-23. So I just really wanted to get a sense of the board of whether we should put any energy into this, researching this particular grant project. It's certainly one of the most lucrative, financially supportive grants. I don't know how to say that, but there are certainly other opportunities, but we don't want to go way down the road. We actually created a timeline. Anne was really helpful with our vice chair, Jamie. Jamie worked out a timeline, which made us realize that there are some gaps in how do we bridge the money piece? We could take it to town warrant next year, but if we put a lot of energy into first of all, the letter of intent, which is, like a C-scroll of information, and then the application itself, and then we go to town meeting and it gets voted down. It's kind of a lot of energy for naught. Anne had a thought.
How much is the grant that you're looking
Could be up to $2 million.
$2 million. So we're looking for 20% of potentially $2 million.
Potentially. We're not saying we're going to go for that. It is an opportunity to add some different projects like, there are town audits that were done back in 2012, I believe it was, for the municipal buildings that weren't acted upon. So we could slip those in the grant too and look for ways to be more efficient in all the town buildings that were identified during that audit period. So I guess, yeah, I'm just wanted to get a sense of the board.
So were you looking to use all the $2 million? How did you come up with?
We don't even have a budget yet. It's just up to $2 million.
Okay, so you don't really know.
So it is unlikely that we personally, the town, would be looking for that $2 million. But again, we would have to have a partner. So Paray, the Plymouth Area Renewable Energy Initiative, might find projects too to put under that grant application. And they're actually talking about those a little bit.
You could have multiple projects.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So there'd be the town project or projects, and then there'd be the partner projects.
And we
I'm just
would-
trying to find out something more palatable than 400,000.
That's, well, if Paray, as a partner, goes forward with a $2 million thing, one, with their project and our project, then, our project might be $100K.
I
Which,
think the potential is tremendous in the long run.
The potential is tremendous. The glitch is how do you come up with the funds? Because you have to identify where those funds, matching funds are coming from, 20%. So if our piece was 100,000, we'd have to come up with 20,000.
Oh, 40, 20.
Did I do that right?
No, yeah, you're right.
I never do math on the fly, but there you have it.
I think this is one of the highest priorities that we can have in planning for the future.
So just keep in mind, this is not the only opportunity, funding opportunity. So, but I personally, as the chair, don't want us to go down this road if we're just going to not be able to identify how to match the funds.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like identifying the projects that need to be done, getting estimates on the cost of what those projects are, regardless of this grant or any funding source, that's work that needs to be done anyway.
You have a time frame that you have to submit this letter of intent,
Correct.
right?
April 11th. And I've started to take a stab at filling it out. I mean, it's pretty intense.
and Paray wants to partner, or wants to be the partner?
We're going to meet with them tomorrow. We were hoping to meet with them last Friday so that I could have a little bit more details for you tonight, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to address the board about this grant and to get a sense of the board. I mean, no matter what, we've already identified that we need to look for other places for funding opportunities because this one's a little bit challenging because of that 20% match and the timeline and the partnership. I mean, what would that look like for the town?
I don't think a 20% match is all that abnormal.
It is.
We'd have to identify it in the grant where the money's coming from ahead of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what's the overall timeline? So there's the letter of intent, and then
Sure, a letter of intent. I would want to run it by the select board. I'm sorry, April 11th, I want to run it by the select board. April 19th, it has to be submitted to the grantor, the USDA. And then we get a response letter from USDA by May 19th. Do you want me to keep going through this?
Yeah,
and then we watch for the webinar registration and approval of our letter of intent. We'd want to get back in front of the select board either on June 27th or July 11th for approval of the application. We have to have the town manager sign off on it by the 17th of July. Then we'd submit an application, the actual application to the USDA no later than 12 p.m. on July 18th. And then in late September, early October, we'd have to be starting to put together a warrant article to fund it, to come up with the 20%. So we'd have to go through the timeline for that process.
Right, for that process.
Which I have outlined, but I don't know if I
we're
need to go
good
through
on
it.
that part.
What's that?
I said we're good on that part.
Yeah, you got that part. And then the access to the funds, grant funds, if we're approved, would be July of 2023. And we have 3 years to spend them.
Sounds great.
I would like to encourage the Energy Commission to move forward on this.
I agree.
I think we need to answer some questions, though, about how we'd partner and where we'd find the funds. I mean, that's just,
Yeah, I think the encouragement would be for you to come back to us on April 11th with, more information on the partnership and, for us to know if that's going to fly, right?
Does your letter of intent have to state that you have the funds available?
Correct.
They do.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right, because we don't.
So is this an every year program that you could potentially apply
that
for
I don't know.
next year?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't actually know if it's an annual. I know it's a pilot project.
We had an initial CIP meeting this morning with June and Joseph. And just thinking about the numbers that are going to be coming at the board for your improvements in your infrastructure over the next 6 years. I'm just quickly thinking
It's
of
going to
that.
be a lot.
A lot. I mean, if this could be added in there somehow into the capital improvement plan. It's 400,000 is
It's a big
how many
project.
It's a
cruisers?
maximum.
But
We'd have to see exactly what's proposed.
we don't have anything to put against that this year. We just don't.
Right.
But it would be a good training or good exercise if she at least started looking at what's out there, meeting with Paray, see if it's an every year. I mean, how much can we put away between now and 2 or 3 years down the road?
It seems like it's like putting the cart before the horse, so to have the application say that you have the money and get the award, and then, just, if you don't know if you're going to get the award until after, or,
Right until after town meeting.
yeah, it's just, it seems like they're asking you to put up money probably prematurely. I don't know. It seems like a shame that we couldn't.
I'm not sure how other municipalities are handling that, given this.
They probably commit against their unreserved fund.
No.
We can't?
No.
I just didn't know if
They
that was how they would do it.
probably haven't, maybe their energy committee's been in the works.
Putting
for a
stuff
few
in
years.
capital reserve for years and years.
Essentially, they've been doing that.
That was the rooms and meals tax they're putting away.
Wow, so subject.
I couldn't
Too
help
soon. Too soon.
Can we pay for this with Keno?
No, that's right. No, the school gets that money.
Okay.
Pennies from heaven.
I mean, it's worth, I can't use pennies from heaven because that's federal money. You can't have federal against federal.
Wow.
We could pay for it with parking.
Parking. Permit fees.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt for her to look into it.
Yeah.
No, doesn't hurt to look into.
But the funding's going to be the challenge.
Funding is going
Well,
to be the challenge.
Everything's a challenge.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
But Paray may also, see opportunities of money that they can throw at this, which might accommodate the match.
Can the town do that?
Accept funds or utilize their funds for a match? Yes, it will said non-federal monies would be able to be a match, so.
So let's just pretend our portion was that 100,000. If our partner could come up with our 20%, is that what you're saying? That we could maybe get, okay. No, I mean, that's a fair, we're going to meet with them tomorrow, so that's a fair statement or possibility.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if just us participating makes the grant viable for them, then maybe they're willing to put up that portion.
Okay. Could we, and is it something you can pay back?
You can never guarantee it unless you have it in your budget.
Okay, you'd have to get in the budget. Okay. And we also are preparing a request for qualification for solar contractors, which do I need to run that by Kathy Lowe, just Kathy or the whole select board, or how do I go to move forward that piece?
Well, so if you put it on an RFQ, it kind of like RFQ, RFP, RFI. What are you?
Well,
'cause
I understand it's a request for qualifications.
If it's just for qualifications, then you're not committing any actual funds or commitment to a vendor, so.
Yeah, you don't want to have them do too much work. Like put together a package that we really have no chance of going forward with unless we have something in the hopper.
I guess I understood that would be the next step as we're looking for funding.
Okay.
Request for qualifications. Am I off on that one?
You need that information.
And you've had a couple of contractors or people in the business that have been kind of working along with us in the past, so they could probably produce something pretty quickly for.
Correct. Okay. So, but do I have to run the request for qualifications, our draft by the board or Kathy before we send it out?
I would think Kathy.
We could appoint Kathy to authorize her.
Okay.
I think the advantage of, and I could be wrong, but the advantage of the RFQ process is that if you've done a formal process to select vendors you could work with, then you don't end up having someone disqualified because they've worked with you and now they have prior knowledge of the project.
Yeah.
Like what happened on our Main Street.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's it. Questions?
Sounds exciting. Hey.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
Hey, when's your next meeting? When's your next meeting?
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow with Paray.
See, I told you.
Is it a regular meeting?
It's a vetting. Do we want to be partners meeting?
Bill, it's your new board
Bill is now
representative.
your rep.
Oh, got it. Oh, great.
I'm on the planning board.
You got fired? Is that what happened?
So, is it like an announced meeting that I should show up to? Or
No, only two of us are going. Just,
okay.
And then we have a subcommittee meeting for the solar array tomorrow night, and there's a couple of people that it's a Zoom meeting.
Should I drop in on that?
Yes, I will
Okay.
send you the link.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's great.
Yeah.
Committee reports. Water and sewer area, anything?
So luckily, we had town voting, town meeting, and then right after that, I got to attend the yearly meeting of the water and sewer.
It was a good week for
Yet
you.
another 3.5 hours. It was cool enough. It was fun. They had, 4 warrants? Highland Street, Reservoir Road, Emerson, you'll be happy, and Russell Street. So those were all approved.
So those are all approved. What are they
So
planning
the
to do?
timeline,
Okay.
is that what you're...
Is that for engineering
Well, what
design?
exactly they do? That's
It's the
just
engineering design piece of it.
okay. And then they will later plan actual work. That's
Correct.
just a design.
Just the approval for it.
Planning board.
I have nothing to report. Actually, I watched it, but
I was trying to remember if there was anything that was of particular interest.
I don't recall a particular interest. Actually, Frank's here.
CIP.
Yeah, that's
CIP.
right. The capital improvement subcommittee. Phil Lemero's going to chair that subcommittee. He's working to form it at the moment. We have our first meeting a week from
Friday.
Friday. This Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because he asked me last Friday, and it was a week from Friday, but it's no longer Friday. Yes, this week. I feel like I'm missing something from planning board.
I'm trying to remember. It was difficult because
We approved the plan for the Highland Street, what's that place called? Right now, it's just a big parking lot with 2 entrances and a sign in the middle.
Oh, yeah. It's the Lakes Region Mental Health
Yes,
Center.
Lakes Region Mental Health, they're redoing their whole
Parking
parking lot, their curb cut, everything. I think it's gonna be a lot cleaner.
Yep.
How about Midstate down here? Did they come before you yet? No.
June's been working on it, but I don't think they haven't presented yet. Oh, no, they did present, and then there were some issues with regard to the parking.
They did present, and there was issues with the parking, and a lot of questions about what they're gonna do on the side of the building that's currently, was the drive-through, like the bank drive-through.
Yeah, and maybe reconfigure it.
They were talking about turning that into interior space, and there was some uncertainty there. We were pushing a little bit to them for them to reduce from 2 curb cuts to 1, but I don't think we're going to win that argument.
It's pretty, if you drive by, it's pretty narrow. It looks, you think that they might have like more room in there to like reconfigure a couple lanes of cars, but it's not that much room in there. But whatever. School district, oh no, I skipped over. You're scheduling campus community councils.
Yeah, I'm going to be scheduling that. I'm anticipating it in early April.
School districts set their calendar and they thought ahead, and there'll be no school. They're doing teacher conferences on the national election day. So good that they're thinking ahead. Yeah. Conservation Commission, Neil.
The Conservation Commission had their warrant article for $5,000 in their budget approved at town meeting, and they're working on the trail that will be along the Baker River between Route 25 and up along behind the hotel and Riverside Landing up as far as where Clay Brook comes in. They're working on that. And they have a meeting tomorrow night.
All right. So here's where it was duplicated. Advisory Budget Committee.
There is no new report.
LRPC. Apparently they're going to be here on the 28th.
The commissioners.
Yep.
And so there's like two commissioners generally from like, I don't know, it's like 19 towns, but only about 20 people show up for these. And it's going to be on bike trails, walking trails. It's essentially throwing money at towns to create sidewalks and biking trails and such. So it's pretty apropos.
Good topic.
Yeah. I'm glad it's the first one we can actually make.
Before I move to Parks and Rec, looping back, the school district did have their district meeting, and they've everything on the warrant passed. The operational budget was 0 increase, but that didn't include any of the stuff on the warrant. Once the warrant is in, it could be anywhere from optimistically 50 cents, pessimistically $2. Where I would put it.
Bummer.
Yeah. Extra pressure on us. So. Parks and Rec Commission, Ted.
There is a meeting this week at 5:15 on Wednesday at PES.
All right. Parking Committee.
Other than what's proposed.
How are we doing on those meters?
Yeah, we just reached out, we had Scott reach out today about our meter inserts, and they told us they were finishing up our order and we should receive them next week.
Wow. That's exciting. How long to get those installed?
So we should be able, as soon as we get them, we should install them within a day or two.
Oh, fantastic. That'll be exciting.
Being packaged.
Economic Development, that, we said that's been kind of nascent. Energy Commission, we just heard from Grace.
Yeah. Meeting tomorrow night.
Meeting tomorrow night. Which takes us to public comments. How about that corner of the public? Any comments?
For comments on proceedings, I don't know if Kathy included it in the daily. I have been trying to organize a protest, and I'm not sure if that's, I know it's not on the agenda, but I'm not sure. Do you have any folders?
We don't have any detail on that.
The, actually, it's in our box for approval.
Yeah.
It's for a march
It's an
on the
open air
20th.
permit.
Oh, actually, that might have been in the signature file.
Get it, is it signed by the board?
I signed
Well,
I signed
let's
it.
just take a brief moment here. Julian?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Julian Davis? Yes, it is all signed unanimously.
So we just need to prepare the
If you stop by,
permit tomorrow,
Dawn won't be here.
Wednesday.
Stop by Wednesday, we'll have it ready for you. Okay?
Okay.
All right?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And with that,
Non-public.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public according to RSA 91A:3 to item A, personnel.
Second.
we have to do roll call on?
Yep.
Yeah. Any discussion?
Nope, no
No
discussion.
discussion on, oh, that's right. How do you vote?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Mary Ann? Zach? Aye.